So, social media success. I want you to, for just the next 20 minutes, put aside everything you think you know about social media, everything you've read about it, everything you think that you will have to do for your startup, because most of it is a waste of time, most of it is BS, most of it is going to cost you a lot of money. So what I'm going to do today is just narrow it straight down to exactly what you need to do to make the most impact for the least amount of time, money, investment, okay? So the stuff that I'm sharing today is the stuff that works again and again and again for huge companies, small companies, individuals, people, everybody. Every time we've tested it, this is the stuff that works, okay? So your success is directly linked to your ability to connect. You've got to know how to connect to your customers. Now that's what everybody's been talking about today, is figuring out how to connect. So go back to their slides and go back to your notes and figure out how to figure out exactly who you're speaking to. But then you also have to be courageous, okay? Has anybody here heard of the squatty potty? Anybody? So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it is the most ridiculous social media campaign in my recent memory. It is for a plastic stool that sits in front of your toilet and you like put your knees up on it as you poo, basically. So it is hysterical. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you've got to go to YouTube and search for the squatty potty unicorn video. Basically, they made a ridiculous 3-minute video of a unicorn pooping rainbow sherbet and a guy talking about how we all need this little potty because we all poo. It's very funny, but it's courageous. It's very, very courageous. Because otherwise, these people would have been just manufacturing a silly little white stool. You'd see it in a shop, Bed Bath & Beyond, and you go, what the hell is that? Why would I need it? Instead, here we are at MIT talking about the squatty potty. So that's a huge win. And what I want you to do is think of ways that you can be creative with your marketing, because creativity, humor, funny stuff is what sells, and that's what gets your stuff shared. And you also need to be consistent, okay? So one squatty potty video is not going to be enough for them to have a business long term. They're going to have a huge spike in sales and then a drop off as people forget about the pooping unicorn. So what they need is to have something, some way to keep those customers engaged and keep selling these plastic stools. So the changing face of social media, let's just talk a bit about that. So 1 out of every 3 Americans now receives their news via Facebook. It changes every single day. 40% of people socialize more on social media sites than face-to-face. I was having a conversation during lunch about a new group called Circle, and where people are like trying to find ways to connect in real life, because more and more and more of young people now are socializing online. Average Twitter user spends 170 minutes per month on the platform, and people are spending $140 when they go to Pinterest. So there's money to be made, and social media is growing, and the power of it is growing. You just have to understand how to use it. So what I want you to do is to define your goals. Far too many people come to me and they say, I want to get 20,000 Instagram followers. And I feel like taking them and just like choking them, because you don't want 20,000 Instagram followers, right? I mean, like, if you do, you're not my customer. Like, that's not the goal. The goal is sales. The goal is customers. The goal is conversions. The goal is money in the bank, not Instagram followers. So please don't set Instagram followers as Facebook fans, Twitter followers, engagement as your goal. You want to understand it's really good for content distribution. If your content is engaging, like the squatty potty, it's going to get distributed naturally. That's what you're aiming for. And it's fabulous for lead generation. Like, social media is like gold mine for lead generation. And when Andrew shared his blog post that's been up there, I could barely contain myself. Nick had to like basically hold me down. I was like, I want to get that, I want to get it, and like just blow the shit out of it on social media. So it's really, really good to take something like that has organic juice already flowing and interest already, and just amplify the daylights out of it and attach it to a lead generation form on your website, and then follow up with everything that Nick said, and then turn it into customer acquisition. Okay? So I'm just trying to help you see how everything we talked about today ties together. Now, a quick overview of developing an effective strategy. How do you want to be seen And you want to make sure that you're aligning your social media presence with who you are. Don't try to be like everybody else because it's boring. You've got to be you, as courageous and as creative and as interesting as you can possibly be. You've got to reach into the essence of your startup and pull that out and amplify that, okay? Don't be boring. So choose keywords and phrases. Now, Kenny touched on this, but this is one of the first things that I do when I consult with businesses. Choosing your key phrases, the things that people use, the words people use when they describe you and your business, look for those and pull those out and start to use them. Use them in your AdWords ads, use them in your Facebook posts, use them on your website, and you'll start to see that there's these trends that keep popping up. Consumers want consistency, and they can sniff you out if you're fake. So make sure that you are keeping with that consistent message, that unique value proposition all the way through all of your marketing. So you also need to choose the right platforms. Please, you don't have to be everywhere. Please, that's like a huge, you're spreading yourself way too thin. You've got like one glob of peanut butter on your knife, okay? And that's you and your limited time and resources. Don't try to spread it across a whole loaf of bread, right? Just if you can spread it really nicely over 1 or 2 slices of bread, then you've got it, okay? But if you try to do the whole loaf of bread, it's just gonna fail. So, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest, they're all super powerful depending on who your market is. If you don't know who you're talking to, it's a complete waste of time. So you've got to understand where your customers are now. We're going to talk a little bit about that, to understand which platforms you should be focusing on. In short, I think everybody should be on Facebook, every business should be on Twitter, and every business should be on LinkedIn. That's just my like short version, and everything else is kind of optional. YouTube is great, but it's not essential for everyone right at the beginning. Some people might throw things at me when I say that. Marketing on a tight budget. This has come up again and again and again today, tight budget. So at the end, feel free to ask me some questions about this. Word of mouth marketing is the biggest thing. If you solve people's problems, they're going to naturally share it with their friends. Writing a helpful blog post, recording a quick audio, making a fun video, like that stuff gets shared. So that's word of mouth, and it's completely free. It just takes your creativity and your courage. So building a community, we talked about that today. Really important to understand who you're talking to. Listening instead of talking. This is a step a lot of people seem to miss. They're like, I should be putting out all this stuff on social media. I want you to instead, first, before you do anything, putting anything out there, start to listen. Go and find out where your customers are. Find out who are they following. Are they watching your competitors? If you don't have any competitors, because I see this a lot in the startup space, where you're kind of a unique product and you're not sure who your competitors might be, well, where are your customers spending their money now? Like, what are they buying now? Where are they shopping now? And follow them. Go and follow their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Twitter, and watch what they're doing and get a feel for it. And then follow links. Follow, if they post an interesting article, follow that and start to follow those people. And just listen for a little while and curate some information and see what problems are being solved out there already, and make sure that you have a really good, unique value proposition. Try new things. Experiment. Almost always, when I do a talk like this, people ask me, well, do you think this would work? And do you think that? And how should we do this? And how should we do that? I'm not going to know the answers for you until you try it. You've got to try it. If you have a gut feeling and you think it might work, then try it and see. You can always delete it, and if it doesn't work. So now, this is the next 8 steps. This is my exact process. When I sit down with a new client, like when Barack Obama's re-election came up, I mean, we started working with them way before the re-election campaign. But what we do is we figure out exactly who are we talking to, exactly what is the problem here, what are we trying to identify. And I take them through this exact 8-step strategy. And you'll be able to download these slides afterwards, so don't feel like you have to write it all down. But this is the process. So as a startup, you guys can take yourselves through this exact process. You don't need me. You don't have to hire an outsourced social media team. You can do this, okay? So here we go. This is the 8 steps, but don't worry, there's a slide for each one. Let's just go right into it. Step 1, set measurable goals. Fans do not equal sales. I think I said that once before, but it's worth saying again. Engagement does not equal money in the bank. Fans, followers, likes, it's all nonsense. So don't even worry about it. People say, oh, they have 150 fans on my site. I don't care how much money is in your bank. So if you have 150 people who are spending $1,000 a week with you, awesome. It really matters how many customers you have. So keep that in mind. And engagement is a byproduct, not a goal. Okay, so please don't, when you're looking at, there's so many social media metrics out there that you can look at. It's very easy to pat yourself on the back and say, oh, we're doing a great job. We have 30% engagement. I'm like, okay, great. How many sales are you making? So you've got to make sure that that engagement is leading somewhere, that it's not, engagement is not the goal, because you're stopping yourself before you actually get to the finish line. So when you have a good product and you have good content, good material, engagement happens naturally, and sales and leads are the goal. So again, focusing on lead generation. Now, it's very important. Not every social media post, but most should lead people to your website or should lead people to somewhere where they can engage with you even further. So one of the mistakes I see people make is they, on Instagram or Twitter, and they just like tweet a whole lot of stuff, or they send up a whole bunch of great pictures on Instagram and hope that people will click on their profile and then go to the link that's in your profile. It doesn't really happen that much. So when you say, we have a sale and it's for the next 3 days, give me a link where I can click to buy the stuff from you right then and there. Or small businesses, shops, often will not put their address or their phone number in the post because they're like, oh, that's on our website. They'll just go to, people are not going to click through to your website to get your phone number, to click through, to write an email. It's not going to happen. So make it super easy for them and include a call to action in every single one of your posts if you have to, okay? Okay, not every single one, but a lot of them. So especially for ones where you're trying to make money. And customer acquisition, so understanding that there's a goal here. We're trying to get customers. Who and how. Now this is an entire presentation on its own, but luckily a lot of the guys earlier today covered this topic. This is the #1 mistake that people make. They say, I'm talking to everybody. Everybody's our customer. All women in America. Women are not the same. I mean, if you're talking to a 22-year-old woman and a 45-year-old woman and a 67-year-old woman, their needs and issues and desires and problems are completely different. So understanding who you're talking to is going to help you speak directly to that person. Now, I like to think of, when you think of advertising in general, you have billboards, TV, radio, where they're just blasting this information out like this. Social media isn't like that. Even though it seems like that, it's not. You can talk directly to Kenny and directly to Nick, and I can talk directly to you if I'm clever about it, because there's so much information. I can target my messages directly to who you are, your gender, your age, your location, whether you visited my website before, whether you downloaded some stuff, you watched my YouTube video. I can target all that directly to you and speak only to you about your issues. And that is how campaigns are won. That is how products are sold. When people feel like you're talking just to them. So remember, this is not a billboard. It's a direct message. And you can be really clever with your social media. So understanding where they're hanging out. Go and find your customers. If they're on Instagram or Pinterest or Snapchat, find out where they are and go there. Now, what keeps them up at night? This is a little bit different from the demographics and psychographics and all the data that's available online. This is another question that I want you to ask about your customers, because this is what lets you write compelling content and provide really good value to them. So what keeps them up at night? And it's not usually anything to do with what you're selling. I mean, nobody's, oh no, my social media is not working. No, They're not. They've got to pay the bills. Or, oh shit, I forgot to cancel the nanny for Wednesday because we're going to be out of town. Or I didn't book those flights. Or, oh no, I forgot to send grandma's birthday card, right? Like you kind of get a jolt, like right when you're falling asleep about those things. If you can understand that about your customer, what's keeping them up, what their worries are. For employees, it's almost always that they're going to get fired, or they're going to look stupid, or they're not going to be prepared, or they're not going to meet their KPIs. So if you're marketing to businesses with employees, it's fabulous to understand that, because they don't want to get fired. They don't want to lose their job. They want to look good in front of their boss. So if you can solve those problems for them and speak directly to that, it's like gold. So test, test, test. Keep going, keep testing. Your audience is unique. It's not going to be the same as anybody else's, so please keep testing and try it with small budgets here and there and amplify content that works. Okay, so step 3 is reviewing your current efforts. Now for startups, this might be a little bit difficult because you don't have any current efforts, but you've got to get out and try stuff. So what's worked in the past? This is the question that I always ask. Like, have you sold anything? Yes. Who did you sell it to? Why did they buy it? Who didn't buy it? And why didn't they buy it? Those are questions you really, really want to know. Talk to them and get their words, because it's going to make a huge difference to how you write in social media. You're talking directly to them. Imagine like how you guys all use social media. Like you're lying in bed, or you just woke up or whatever, and you're scrolling through Facebook feed. This is what your customers are doing. So you've got to be able to grab them and grab their attention, and that's the way you're going to do it. Identify one area of major impact. Because your time is spread so thin and your money is spread so thin, I recommend that you look and find one thing that you could do that would make a major impact. Now, for some of you, that's going to be different, but it might be that you make a really cool unicorn pooping video and you send that out and you amplify the daylights out of that. Or you write a really cool white paper or download or how-to ebook and you amplify the daylights out of that. So one area of major impact, and focus all of your money and time and effort on that, and that's going to help you a lot. Then the other thing you can do now is to look for signs of life. So search for yourself, search for your startup, search for your product, look and see what people are asking. There are forums everywhere where people are asking for solutions to your problem. What are other people recommending to solve this problem that your startup is going to solve? Find out who's doing this on LinkedIn now, or who's on Instagram talking about your startup, and find them and follow them and make sure that you can be much better. Okay, same thing, moving right into step 4, which is auditing your competitors. If you don't have competitors, like I said before, you just want to figure out where they're spending their money now. They're spending their money somewhere. Where is it going? And you want to make sure that you're communicating in a way that makes them want to spend it with you instead. So where are your competitors? What social efforts are they putting out now? Are they emailing regularly, sign up for their email list, follow them on all the social platforms, and really generate, like all this stuff is free. It takes time, but all of this is free and you can do it now. Identify the key areas of difference. I really need you to understand when clients come to me, I'm like, okay, so what are your key value points? Where do you stand out? How are you different? If you don't know that, then you're not going to be speaking to anybody and it's not going to work. And follow them all on social media. So step 5 is it's time for a makeover. Almost every business who comes to me needs a makeover. And what that is you want a consistent, cohesive, smooth look across all your social profiles with a new cover image that clearly represents you and your brand. So you want the same thing on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, everywhere, Pinterest. You want it just to be clearly branded. Now there's a free resource you can use to do this. It's canva.com. If you don't have a graphic designer, you aren't a graphic designer. Even I can use it, so that's a really good thing. Canva's fabulous, and you can just they have all the perfect sizes for everything. You use one image, one font, and rebrand all of your social sites. Include tons of links, clickable links for everything. in all of your About Us sections. Make sure you've got that all filled out. This is really good for search, Google search, and people do click those links, so you can use tracking links if you want. It's really fabulous. So streamline that, identify the key phrases and value words, and jam-pack them in to all your social profiles. All that About Us, description stuff, that's all gold for you. It's just sitting there, an opportunity. So make sure you use it. Now link all your sites to one another. There's a process I'm going to talk about in a little bit, which I call it the social circuit. And it means that customers can kind of come in at any point. It's very similar to the hub that we were talking about earlier today. How you have your website is the central hub, and then everything else is around it. It's a very similar thing. But I want to make sure that all of your social sites are linking to your website and are linking to each other. So it can say something simple like, are you on Instagram? Follow us there. Here's the link. And then you can even track those links and see who's actually following you from there. But by linking all of your social sites together, it doesn't matter if you find a YouTube user who wants to follow you over there, it just adds that social proof that you're actually everywhere, and they'll go and see that you're branded, makes you look much bigger than you really are. And include clear social icons on your website. There's lots of little plugins and apps and things that can do that, but and make sure you check on mobiles, on a mobile device, because some of them totally ruin the user experience. I don't know how many people check that, but when you try to read a blog, sometimes they have like floating social icons on the side. Has anybody seen that? It's just a pain in the ass. So make sure you check it out before you put users through that. Step 6, the power of content. So I'm not going to go through this in too much detail, but there's one differentiator that I want to point out, and that's the difference between planned and spontaneous content. So you can plan an entire year worth of social posts and blog posts and everything in 3 or 4 days. Sit down and you can plan it all. You can just sit down and just type it all into Hootsuite or Sprout Social or even directly into Facebook itself. And what I do is I recommend you get a calendar and choose, remember your key value proposition, your key phrases, your key words, the key problems you solve. I'm positive you can come up with 12 key topics that you want to talk about, 12 areas that your product addresses or that you solve, and put one in each month. Then the next step is to go into each month and come up with 3 or 4 variations on that theme. So let's say, let's say that you sell an alternative form of milk, like macadamia milk, for example. Well, what are some reasons why people might buy macadamia milk as opposed to dairy milk? Well, there might be like the health reasons, and then there might be the organic side of it, and then there might be because it comes from a farm near us, or then it might be recipes, different recipes you can use for macadamia milk. And then, you can choose one topic for each month, and then 3 or 4 subtopics, and write those down. And that becomes so much easier to write content about that one thing, because all you're talking about is how macadamia milk is great in all these different recipes. That's all you have to talk about that month. So that's planned content. You can plan out all the holidays, all the anniversaries, all the seasons, all that in at once. But what I want you to do is then go back and mix in spontaneous content. Spontaneous content is, woohoo, we just got a new MacBook, and here's my picture, and today I'm in Boston, and here's a picture of me, and it's my birthday, and my friends just brought me a big cake, and that's spontaneous content. So when you blend planned and spontaneous content, your whole feed seems much more natural. Instead of it just being blog post, blog post, blog post, blog blah, 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 blah. It's like blog post, and then, oh, we're doing something fun, and then blog post. So it's like serious human, serious human, serious human. And it's so fun, and it's so easy. And you don't have to be the only one doing the spontaneous content. You can throw in other people in your business to do that too. And it really adds personality. And lessens the stress, because you don't have to come up with a blog post every week, because you've done that already, okay? So, the social circuit. Everything is linked. Blog post first. This is my recommendation, and I don't have it here. I usually draw it on a whiteboard, but basically we recommend that you publish on your website first. And then the next day, make a Facebook post about it, linking to your blog. Then you can move to either making a YouTube version of it, which is like maybe a slideshow or a recording of some kind, some sort of a YouTube version of that, and link to the blog post. And then also link to the Facebook post. Then you can tweet all about it. So I go in and program 10 tweets, 1 to Facebook, 1 to my blog, 1 to YouTube. And then you can go to LinkedIn and take a version of your blog post and post it on LinkedIn as a new article with a new title that is a little bit more fine-tuned because you've gotten some reactions now to Facebook comments or blog comments, so you can maybe fine-tune the title and add a nice image and add some links to a lead generation page and publish that on LinkedIn. And then you can tweet links to that. And then you put it on Instagram and you put a nice photo of it and link to whichever social profile is doing the best. And so you just keep going around, and you could do this all in one sitting. You just go in and schedule them all. So we do that with Sprout Social. That's the tool that we recommend. We can also do it with TweetDeck or Hootsuite. I love Sprout Social, though, because it has amazing reports, which are really nice for clients and stuff, and it kind of like shows you against your competitors and stuff. So that's the social circuit. And I don't have any scientific proof that this does amazing things for Google, but all those links going to all these different places and slightly changing your content, just scattering it over time, instead of just writing a blog post and amplifying it out on social media all at the same time and then you forget about it. You spent all that time writing the blog post. Why waste it? So then that brings me to my next point, which is 48 social posts from one blog post, which explains why I was so excited about Andrew's post. We have this process that we go through and we teach our clients to go through and take one killer blog post and just amplify the crap out of it on social media. Some things you can do to get creative are you can pull out quotes from it and make images on Canva and share those. You could do a top 10 reasons why you should not separate your blog from your website. You could do a video slide share. You could do an audio snippet of Andrew talking about why you should not do this and share that as a podcast or share it in a million different places. So there's all kinds of cool things you can do. You can have a picture of Andrew standing there with a why I would never blah, 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 And so you can just do so much with one blog post. So don't just let it wither away in Google. Get it out and amplify it, okay? Share relevant content from others. Now, curating content and sharing it with your own commentary. If you really want to know how to do this, I can show you how. It's really cool. You go in, I don't know how much time I have, but basically you use Facebook as your page. Okay, so you create a Facebook page for your business. You use Facebook as your page. You go in and follow all the other pages that your customers are following. And you see your news feed for the Facebook business page will show you all of the relevant content that their best post. You'll see 500 shares and 1,000 comments, and that's the content that's already working in your market. So then you take that and you click share, and you share it to your audience with your own commentary on it. So you can say, this is why I disagree with Kenny Goodman, blah, 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 because blah, blah, right? Or something like that, and you can tag them in it, or this is why I agree, or this is why everybody needs a squatty potty, or whatever it is. But you're putting your own commentary on it and sharing that, knowing it's already very hot in your market. Does that make sense? And so you're not randomly just clicking share from some random app. You're actually seeing what's already working, sharing it with your audience. Your audience will love you, and it brings your engagement up very quickly.
Use that Postradamus app I was mentioning before.
Oh, yeah? I haven't used that, so I didn't know.
That shows you, so these posts you're talking about, it shows you, these companies or competitors that you're talking about.
Right.
It shows you their most shared posts.
Cool. Okay, so Postradamus might be able to do that exact same thing. So definitely check that out, because that is a super powerful way to do that. And you can do that once a week. And in Facebook, you can schedule those posts to go out later. So if you have 20 minutes while you're sitting to wait for a soccer game to start or something, and you can do that then just schedule those posts to go out later on so that you're not using your valuable time to do that. Okay, step 7, mapping out your strategy. So this is where you just sit down and you just figure out what are we going to do? What are we going to post? Where are we going to post it? What are we going to focus on? Actually write it down. Are you going to do a weekly video or a podcast, or are you going to write a blog? Like, you've got to do something. So figure out what it is. And I recommend that you do them in bulk or chunk it down. After many years in business, I know that things tend to go up and down, and you have time, and then you don't, and then you have time, and then you don't. So if you can chunk it down and record 3 or 4 videos at once, you're done for the month. So that helps a lot. Who's responsible? Identify key areas and make people accountable for it. If you're the only person, then it's you. But if you have somebody else, make sure it's very clear and write it all down, like what they're going to do. And how are you going to measure success? So figure out, what's this going to look like? I mean, like, ideally we'll get 100 leads or sales or something like that. Figure it out and kind of guess and see so you know. Now, how will you stay up to date? Please understand that social media changes every single day. Like, while I've been here today, there have been 3 things that my team have notified me about that have changed. So please don't spend a whole lot of time learning the meticulous ins and outs of each individual platform, because it changes. So don't worry about it. You're never going to understand it. I've been doing this for 10 years. I still don't understand it all. So you've got to understand the content and who you're talking to, and then the platforms will change. So 6 months from now, it'll be a different platform. But you just got to follow where your customers are. So the coughing's starting. So how are you going to stay up to date? Step 8 is implementation. Understanding software can help. I love Hootsuite, Sprout Social, and Canva. Those are my 3 essential must-haves, but I have a whole list. Coughing. Outsource what you can't handle: content, graphic design, video production, etc. But I highly recommend that you do this. You do your social media, you do your marketing. Nobody understands your business like you do. So please take charge of this and do it. Get the apps on your phone, figure it out, download Snapchat, figure out what the hell it is. If you're not already, is anybody in here using Snapchat regularly? Okay, 2 people. Awesome. So I recommend everybody download Snapchat and just try to figure it out when you have if you're feeling brave. Pardon? My dad's using it. Yeah. It's really interesting, and it's kind of the new way that social media is going, and it's very interesting, and it will keep you up to date. Okay, these are my favorite resources. Sprout Social. I love it for reporting, and it allows you to schedule content on multiple social platforms. I love Canva. You can use it for free to do amazing graphic design. Slack for teams. Have you guys heard of Slack? It's an app on your phone, and you can connect and communicate without having to use email, and it saves a ton of time. You can add, download files and images and everything. It's so fantastic. We use it to communicate with all our clients. Google Alerts is amazing, and Google Analytics also amazing. Bitly for link shortener, Discus for blog comments, but I'm not the Google expert, but I like it. Is it okay? No? Oh, Discus, okay, good. Post Planner is another version of, it's like viral content. You can look that up and see if you're in the market where your audience is really gonna like cute furry cat videos and that sort of stuff. That's a good place for it. ActiveCampaign, I use that for email list management and lead pages for landing pages, but there's a million different options for those things, but that's what I use. Okay, so don't leave your success to chance. Please don't just randomly throw a whole bunch of stuff at social media and hope something sticks. Spend some time, think about it, plan it out strategically, and if you need help, I'm here. This is how to contact me, and I just added my slides to sociallygrown.com/MIT, so you can download it there. So thank you guys so much.
Any questions for Jen?
Yes. Everybody's on social media. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, Barack Obama's on social media? Pretty much everybody's on social media in one form or another. Almost everybody. Like, we work with a lot of CEOs, a lot of general managers, high-level businesses. They have their own social profiles. Like almost, I mean, there's a few holdouts, like a few people who are like, I refuse to be on social media. And that's fine. Like, you know, you might not get that guy, but LinkedIn probably. LinkedIn is an absolute powerhouse for high-level general managers, CEOs, hospitals. That's what you said, hospitals, right? Hotels, sorry. That's right. And this is where, I mean, my market is not, you know, in small business. Like, I'm working with, like, high-level people, too. And so finding out what happens is they opt in at 1 in the morning. They're on their phone, you know, like they've had a busy day, they're home, they're on their phone, and I get clicks and opt-ins from high-level people at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And it does happen if you're speaking directly to them. It's not, I mean, but if you don't need massive amounts of leads, if you don't need 20,000 leads to make your business successful, then it doesn't matter if you get 1 a week, right? Like if that's a $200,000 sale, you're like, thank you. But LinkedIn is phenomenal. You can start LinkedIn overview, by the way. I'm sorry, I'm totally going over time. You're going to kick me out. You want to make sure your profile is completely up to date. Everybody in this room should just go and make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date with recent stuff. You can jam-pack videos, audios, links, whole stories in LinkedIn. And then connect with everybody who's in your market. Like connect with all kinds of people. And then join groups. Search for LinkedIn groups and connect with those people in that group. Don't just spam them with, buy our stuff, aren't we great? But go in and read relevant stuff and make relevant comments and help people. And it doesn't have to take that long, like 5 minutes a day. Again, like when you're waiting for a soccer game to start or something. Comment, like, share their stuff, and you'll get their stuff. And then the next thing you can do is start your own group. Start a group in LinkedIn for people who are decision makers in your industry. And start putting out information that shakes it up so that like grabs their attention. Like why, you know, having a Starbucks in your hotel lobby is a huge mistake. And people are like, what? Wait a minute, I was just about to sign a deal with Starbucks. Like, what do you mean? Something like that. And then if you can back it up, that's powerful ways to get their attention. Hi. Right, so you mean like their stuff is only available here in Boston or something like that?
Blow up Boston, or get found by people in Boston.
Yeah, well we haven't even touched on targeting or ads, Facebook ads or anything like that. And if that's something that's interesting for you, then please put your name and email on here and we'll probably have to have a chat about that because it's so in-depth that it's like a 3-day conference, just Facebook ads. But you can target your audience directly based on where they are. So if your startup is only in a particular area, you can set your advertising only to be within, you know, 10 miles of your business. Yes, I'm sorry, did that answer your question? Oh, okay, cool. It's really hard well, this is just my own experience, really hard to get people to opt in on mobiles. Like, I hate it. Everybody's on their mobile, but nobody wants to give me their email address until Facebook invented lead ads. Hooray! So Facebook have now invented a thing called lead ads, which means that you, as a user, can just click yes, and Facebook will give the advertiser all of your Facebook information, so your name and email from Facebook. So you don't have to type in your email on that tiny little screen. And that has dramatically changed lead generation for us and our clients on Facebook. So that's been a huge thing. The other thing is that impressions have skyrocketed. So if you're advertising on, if you're doing any paid ads on Facebook, please, please, please separate out your mobile ads from your desktop ads, because otherwise mobile will use up your entire budget and you won't know if it's working. Does that answer your question? Yeah, cool. Anybody else? No? Cool.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Round of applause for Jen.